I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oconee County Agriculture Advisory Board. It's 6:30, February 8th, 2021. First thing on our agenda is approval of our last meeting, which was 1/21/21. I know some of you may not have had a chance to look over them, but do I have anybody have any problems with last week's month's agenda?
I didn't see any.
Anybody see any changes we need to make? There's just 4 of us. Okay, then, you just may want to make a motion to approve the meetings.
I'll make a motion
Minutes.
to approve the minutes from January 21st, 2021 as written.
Second.
All right, everybody say aye. We're gonna
Aye.
raise our hands.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we have time for public comments next. Do we have anybody that has any public comment? See anybody? So, I guess we can move on. The next thing is we have 4 new members of the Ag Advisory Board. And I'd like to welcome everybody here. And I guess the 3 of us could probably introduce ourselves first, and then we'll let y'all introduce yourselves to us and to everybody else. I'm Debbie Sewell. I've worked in agriculture for most of my career. I graduated from Clemson in entomology. I've worked in most of the time for USDA, both research and regulatory. I've also worked for an ag chemical company. So I have varying experience with poultry, cotton, row crops, you name it. So, most of it has to do with insects and their relation to that. I also am a member and have been a member of the Oconee Beekeepers Association and South Carolina Beekeepers Association for many years. Kim?
I'm Kim Alexandra. I represent District 1 in Oconee County. My husband and I live on a family farm up in the northern part of the county on Highway 11. We have hay, trees, horses, and goats mainly, but have been involved in the equine industry for a number of years with our children and different things and showing and equine production.
Hi, I'm Rex Blanton. I'm from Seneca. I represent District 3. Been involved in agriculture pretty much all my life, and I work for the Plant Environmental Science Department at Clemson right now.
Larry, you want to be next?
Yeah, so you can see my ugly face, but I'm Larry Cantrell. I'm from Walhalla. I have about 80 or so head of, I raise Red Angus cattle, and member of the Oconee Cattle Association, Cattlemen's Association. I think the cattle used to be a hobby. It's become now, I guess it's my second job. I'm a home builder. My main job 8 to whenever during the day. So anyway, that's pretty much what I do. Nice to be here.
Charlie?
I'm Charlie White, and I'm from District 5, down around the Oakway South Union area. Been in agriculture all my life. We have 4 broiler houses. Myself and 2 sons, we farm about 1,200 acres of wheat, soybeans, and corn. About 12 years ago, I came up with the Carolina Foothills Heritage Fair that we get to enjoy when this COVID gets out of the way, but maybe we can start back having a fair sometime. But it's been a good advocate for agriculture and helping the the kids with projects, showing cows, and this, and that's why we, came up with the fair, but, it's good to be in agriculture this day and time.
Yes,
Glad to be here.
Ms. Ashley.
Hello, I'm Ashley Townsend. I went to Clemson University, got a bachelor's in environment and natural resource management. And for the past 4 years or so, I've worked at Chattooga Bell Farm in Long Creek, South Carolina. And yeah, I was involved with the planning of the food summit, Oconee County Food Summit, held last year, about a year ago. And I'm excited to continue that learning and of agriculture and related matters within the county.
Tessa?
Hi, I'm Tessa Moxley, born and raised in Mountain Rest, South Carolina. And I did go to Clemson. I studied animal science, animal and veterinary sciences, and agribusiness. And for the past 5 years, I've been in Maui managing a farm there. They did tropical flowers and a superfood. And I just moved back here, and I'm really excited to be involved with our agriculture in Oconee County.
All right, thanks. Sounds like I'm glad we have a new group. We have a good variation of different aspects of agriculture in the county. And so we ought to be able to do some good work this year. I hope so. Let's see, next on the agenda is, okay, we mentioned that last week, we talked about a workshop. It's for the Ag Advisory Board, and you may have gotten an email asking you what a good date was or whatever, and we want to try to nail down a date. What we want to do is kind of orient the new people and the old people too as to what we need to be doing, what our goals are and what we can do this year to, be a driving force for agriculture in the county. So, I don't know, did we ever get a deciding date?
Yeah, I think Laura may have sent out an email about that, but March 3rd at 5:30, it's Wednesday. If you all are available, the people who responded, kind of went with those ones. So yeah, Wednesday, March 3rd in this room at 5:30, and I believe Jennifer Boss will come facilitate.
Right, okay.
And the purpose of that is just to figure out what we're doing this year, just kind of
Right.
set ahead. That's correct.
Unless, and actually Kim came up with it. Did you have, and was there any other directions you thought we should go in on that, or do you have
You mean
any
as far as,
expectations for the workshop?
I just think it would be, the reason I thought we needed it is because we have 4 new members. And sometimes when you come into a new setting, you don't know what has taken place in the past. And I think it'd just be a real quick, here's where we started, here's where we are. Rick's done an awesome job under his leadership these past few years. And I think those need to be highlighted. And then here's the directive from the Planning Commission with all of the, and I know you'll talk about that later, with the ag components and what's important, because I'm sure you have a diverse crowd. We're all going to look at somebody's going to pick something different from someone else. So we need to goal set how we're going to handle it to move agriculture forward in our county. And I think this past year has given us some indication of things that need to continue to happen.
Yeah.
I know the rec started the process with the letters and they adopted it as far as processing, but I think that probably needs to be a focus. But of course, it will be a majority of whatever the board decides.
Rexy, what do you think about it? You have any good ideas for the workshop that we?
I like what she sent out, the packet, and it had all the, gosh, that was a long email. No way to print it all, but I think the Robert's Rules of Order review would be good for that. That's always good to know, to help run things smoothly.
Y'all have any questions or anything you want for us to include in the workshop, maybe, that you have any questions about? okay.
The issues around the county or?
Well, that's what we're gonna talk about, yeah, mostly, everything has to do with the county. Just, and, how we can, support agriculture and advise the county council on, how we can support agriculture in the county.
Adam had some.
So, and also, if y'all get any ideas or have any thoughts about that, I will send you all out our, last year, the planning commission and ag board got together to do a 10-year comprehensive plan, and it set out a set of goals, objectives, and strategies. I will send that to you all, and that will probably be a good jumping off point that we all can just look at and say, oh, okay, this is what we're talking about. I know it's really hard to visualize just all of a sudden, but I'll get that to y'all.
No, I have a question, and I assume, maybe I'm stating the obvious, but I guess let us know what's our role, so to speak, and I guess I know that's what it's for. Like,
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking.
if, like if somebody that's in my district has an issue or that they want to talk about, is that my role to bring that in and try to get it on the agenda, that type of stuff? Is that how to do that?
That's what that's what I think. I personally think that it's a good time for us to talk about those kind of things, what our role is, what our role in the community is. Issues that we think are important. I might have an issue that I think is important and you might never thought about it. And vice versa.
Right.
Cause so, I think that'd be a good time for us to do that and we can talk in a more casual setting than at a meeting.
I'd like to just make sure we follow up with the top 4 that Adam helped us identify, the top 4 goals last year. They go along with the act, that the comprehensive plan.
Comprehensive plan, yes, sir.
We sort of identified 4 top priorities last year and got a lot of that done. I'd like to see if we could finish those up.
And I don't want to overstep, but to answer Mr. Cantrell's question, Adam, would it be possible to include in that for everyone the powers and duties and responsibilities that's in the county ordinance? Just our part, not
Yeah.
the entire, but where it tells us what we are to do, to serve in as advisory position to the council, and I think it answers that
Okay, great.
question.
I think it's in that big, long message you sent out, the 170, whatever. I think our charge, the resolution that created the board is in there, and it tells our mission to promote agriculture, help people understand agriculture and importance.
I printed a lot, but I didn't know what had been sent to.
I think it's in there.
Read some deeper.
Thank you.
I can package you all up and get it back to you.
All right. If everybody's satisfied, we'll move along. One thing that I wanted to do tonight was to talk about some things that we did last year and either, look at whether or not we need to move forward. If there's any questions about it, and, kind of, decide, talk about what we did and what maybe we can do to enhance it, or if it's a done deal, I guess you could say. So the first one is, our Disclosure Act letter that we sent out, that we sent to the council to ask them to send to our legislature. And Rex, you worked on this committee. If you want to give us a kind of a background, and you have a copy in your packet there of that letter that was sent.
Yeah, Adam helped draft this tremendously. He was tremendous help for this. But it just basically, it's like just telling people that they're moving in next to a farm, and you're going to have sights and sounds and odors that you might not have been expecting, but there it is. It's a farm.
Sure.
And so basically, don't complain. It's what the goal is. It's in a subtle way, but so it was drafted up and sent, and Mr. Davis signed it and sent it forward, and I don't know what the status is right now. I haven't heard any information on it.
How would we go about checking that?
Probably need to call Senator Alexander's office, and check, which I can do that.
It'd be interesting to know where that was.
I think it got bogged down in committee, if I remember the last update, and don't quote me on that, but because of everything the way it was, things just kind of got dropped, so it probably would be a great idea to follow up and make sure it's moving forward. Who is y'all's president? He was very adamant on the Cattlemen's Association.
Pat Williams?
Pat that came and spoke to us.
Mhm.
Because he was very adamant about it and very, proactive on it. So I don't know if he knows, but I know he had went a couple of times, hadn't he, Rex?
Oh, you talking about Tim Donald? Yeah, Tim's up on that. In fact, he sent me a link to Farm Bureau's advocacy page, and you can sign up with your email, and they'll send you updates on what's going on in the legislature.
So if I may, so probably, as this is the board, the kind of pecking order is that you all, Ag Board reports to council, kind of advises council, that's the kind of the role of the board. And so this letter was sent from Ag Board to council, council then sent it to delegation. They didn't just send it to Sanford, they sent it to the other three as well, other two as well. So what you all could do to kind of keep in line, I'm not saying don't, if you have a good in volumes, take it. But for other things in the future, if you all kind of follow up on stuff, is that we follow up through council. Since council sent the letter, the Ag Board didn't send the letter. That could certainly be a way. So I wouldn't say all of you pick up the phone and bother your elected officials, but if you all wanted to kind of say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, how's this going? We sent this over, you voted to send this over to delegation, and here you go. So if you all have an in for this, by all means, take it, but just kind of staying in the process flow.
Sounds like a good idea.
Good point. So just contact our district representative.
And see if they'll reach out to
Okay.
the delegation.
Got it.
I believe it was unanimously voted upon. I don't think there was any, I don't
Yeah, I
believe
think
this was
so, too.
contentious at all, leaving council, so.
I mainly just wanted to, take a look at it. I never saw the actual letter that was sent. I just wanted to see a copy of it, and I thought other people did as well, so. And if we can, Rex, you wanna call somebody on council to see what they know about it?
I will. I got a note to call my district rep, and I think Adam was saying that it's okay for y'all to call yours too. And so
Make sure one person gets through.
that's a better, I appreciate his suggestion. Adam's so valuable in keeping us in line and on track because we don't know the ins and outs of the government dealings and the proper procedures and protocols. And Adam's been really great about keeping us in line, on task, or whatever you want to say, just like that last comment, just
Yeah, I think so.
call
too.
your
Well, this one,
local guy instead of Senator Alexander. It makes sense.
That could possibly be good for a workshop too, is just understanding how
Yeah.
county
I
government.
think so too, because
Works.
all of us need to know that.
Yeah.
Maybe make a flow chart?
Sure.
Thank
Can
you.
you make a
He's gonna throw something at me.
Okay,
No,
well,
no, it's
this
fine. It's-
next one is kind of the same, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, I apologize.
This next one is kind of the same thing. One of the things that we did last year was, ask for a temporary, orders because of COVID for the animal processing. And, I kind of worked with this a little bit, Amanda and I did. She actually pretty much, as far as, giving it, putting it before council and asking them to do this. Of course, we voted on it to all do it together. We have some local people that are having issues getting their animals processed, especially for retail sales. And a lot of it had to do with COVID because so many people were trying to process animals. And the other problem is that so many local processors are limiting their business, or actually just are limited in general, don't have that many people. So, this is kind of the same thing. I think it'd be a good idea, and, I can take the lead on this and contact, I'm at large, so I can contact any of them. But I could contact somebody to find out how, if they heard anything on how this has gone within the legislature. I think animal processing is something that's gonna continue to be on our agendas from time to time throughout the year. We're having some issues, and we're not the only people back in all of this country. So this is something that is gonna have to be addressed this year, particularly on the local side. I know, you know, I like local meat myself, and it's very difficult to find it right now, so. If anybody have any questions about this and why we did this or what we were looking to do, I know we know, but
I'd say I totally agree with it, because I know now I sell freezer beef. You know, I've already had to get my dates in 2022 because I use Snow Creek, and I don't do, you know, like I think Amanda does the individual cuts, but processing is, in the county, is almost impossible to get dates to do. I don't know if that would go into this, but that's just, you know, the labeling part of it, but.
it's difficult. Some states have already taken some temporary measures around us that has helped out the situation to some extent, and that was one reason why we had talked about maybe going this route. So, anybody else have anything to add to that?
Someone brought up to me that the slaughter is not the difficult part, it's the packaging and the processing. And so if the slaughter could be done, if there could be something to incentivize the slaughter folks to increase their capacity and then send it to another person or group to process it, to cut it and package it, that might be a way. A certified kitchen can process and package.
Okay.
So that's just a thought.
One other point I know Clemson University sent out a questionnaire a few months ago from, I guess, a processing standpoint, and they were looking for more processing facilities and asked us would we be willing to basically an investment. You know, I don't know if they were looking at trying to open another processing facility, you know, some with, you know, local farmers doing that, or what their end goal was, but I haven't heard any more about it since then. But I know Snow Creek, one of their problems is cooler space. You know, they, like for beef, they hang for 3 weeks at least, so obviously you can only have so many in there, so that's part of their problem. And just from my standpoint.
Yeah, and, you know, like the size of the facility, like you said, and plus, availability, like if somebody has retail cuts, the person has to be available from the beginning to the end to do the labeling from beginning to end.
Right.
And, my understanding is they have somebody there one day out of the week.
Yeah.
So, it limits the amount of slots there are for that type of thing. So, and right now, I've talked to several of our lamb farmers, and right now, there's nobody even taking a reservation to slaughter lamb. So, for any purpose, even an exemption, so. But, we've got to do something about that, and that's why we tried to address that with the small ruminants.
I don't know if there's any way possible at all to use the meat lab at Clemson, but it's a pretty big facility. It's a lot of cooler space, it was. So I've talked to a couple of people down there, and Dr. Dobbins mentioned that study that you got the survey from, and that's all I heard from that. But then I talked to another professor, and he gave me a lot of names and websites for instance, South Carolina Meat Processors Association and folks like that to try to get in touch with and see what we can learn from them. But it'd be great if Clemson would offer a little help with the lab down there, the meat lab. I don't know if that's, even possible, but it's a thought. It sits there, I think they still use it. I saw them using it a couple weeks ago, but small animals, but that's a possibility. It's just, I don't know, pretty tall order though. dealing with a lot of rules and regulations.
Okay. The third item that we've talked about, I think since, we started, was our, farmer's research, farmer's resource guide. And this thing has gone through several, changes throughout the years, and we've talked about different aspects of it. Kim was on the original committee that, worked on this, and I think I'm gonna let you take over and see if you can tell us where we're at on that and what we need, where we need to go. And if we need to go anywhere.
I think this was the final draft, wasn't it, Adam, because of space and because of what you were looking for to direct people? Is that the way I understand it?
So for this, because if we were gonna try to get up here and design a final document, by committee, we'd get a camel, right? Everybody would have, you know, the comma goes here, it's the wrong color, purple kind of thing. So as long as you all are happy with the content of it, then all we would need from a staff perspective is a motion for us to put this in a final format. And we'll put some glitter on it, we'll make it, you know, a usable document. So, you know, right now as it is, we just try to get just the raw data, and Laura went back and I think she called all the phone numbers and checked all the websites.
And I put the new members on the bottom.
Oh, the
I
new
did
members
that.
as well of the ag board. So, I know it's kinda tiny type to get it on one page, so we'll make it nicer, but if you all are happy with the content, that's all we need is a motion and a second and a vote.
Well, so first, if you don't mind, so once we do that, what's the, I mean, I think I'm interested in what our next steps are. What are we gonna, where's this gonna land? And, if, you know, how are we gonna update it? Cause these things, a lot of these things changes from year to year.
Excellent point, we certainly put it on a calendar, to update it. We could put it on the Agro website, we could get paper copies, probably can't go nuts with the paper copies, but I do have a printer, we print up a batch of them. And then you all could distribute it, you all could also probably through your own personal private social medias, push it out there.
Okay.
See if, I know the farm center has been very open to posting items. I don't know if the Farm Bureau or the Cattlemen's or any other groups would be interested in having this and distributing it out to their members. And just a resource document out there for maybe not the seasoned farmers, but definitely for, you know, if somebody's gonna walk
Right,
in,
right.
where do I get this? It could be a helpful document. But also that could change too, as far as like the various iterations of it, but let's just get the first one.
Okay.
What about adding like the processing facilities on here, or any information about processing?
Private businesses is what we try to stay away from. There are some kind of more private-esque stuff here, such as the various, no one on here is really selling a product. That's what we couldn't go and put those, and that was definitely a conversation that was had here in the past, is that, you know, it makes sense, but at the same point in time, it's government. We can't.
Gotcha.
For instance, we had roadside stands in there at one time and different objects like that, different things like that, but
The
it,
whole SC Grown project and all the little logos. And
you just can't promote, you know, a business. Kind of remain neutral, but Kim and Sandra did a great job putting that thing together.
We just need for it to move along, so.
Yeah, I think we're pretty tight on it.
Well,
So I move that we accept this and put it out, and all practical measures means possible. All practical means possible.
I think it would be a big help. There's a lot of poultry farmers, you know, around that don't know where to get information and what's available through FSA and
Right.
Farm Service Agency. So I think that would be a great help.
So we have a motion. I move we accept it and move it along. Anyone on second?
I'll second it. Anyone else?
No, I haven't really had a chance to look at it, but, okay, do we have a vote? Do we need to accept this in the content as it is and have staff go on and, what did you say?
Just put it into a final format.
Final
Is
format,
what
that's-
we're looking for, and I'll bring it back to you all at the next meeting.
All right, let's have a vote. No, I think it's ayes for everyone.
Rock and roll.
Okay. Now, this is, something that's kind of evolving, might make me dizzy. I'm dyslexic, so, anything like that just is fine for me.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. The, SNAP Ed Local Food Policy Council Development and Expansion Grant Program. This grant was passed along to me as something that they thought that the Ag Advisory Board might be interested in, and I thought we would too. The, time frame on, applying for this grant was really short. It has to be in by the 10th, and I had to ask council, asked Adam to ask if we could, if it was something that was of interest, and so council approved that the county applies for this grant. And it was kind of our suggestion. They want us to, I got word from the attorney, and they really think that they would, this is a great idea. Food policy, not only, it involves every aspect really of health and economy of the county. And obviously, agriculture is a huge part of food. Without agriculture, there would not be food, but, as we all know. But anyway, so we're going, the county is going ahead with the application of this grant, and they have asked that we be ready for, in a support role if they have, when they get, if they are awarded this grant and they start working on it. But one thing I wanted to do, I don't know if, I've just learned about food policy councils, but I put information, it's kind of like a pamphlet that North Carolina did, it's what they've done on some of their food policy councils. And if you have a chance to take a look at it, it's kind of like an outline and sort of thing that tells about different types of things that are, all food policy councils are different all over the country. If you ever start looking at it, it's an endless thing. But we talked about it at the food summit last year, and I think it's something that the county needs to look into as far as what our policies are. Ashley is very, she knows a lot about these food policy councils and can probably better explain it than I can. And I talked to her, asked her if she would mind giving us a brief little, talk about food policy council a little bit and tell us kind of briefly what it is and, what we might find out by, this, this grant might do for us.
Yeah, food policy councils usually come out of the community, representing all aspects of the food system within that community, from production to your plate, pretty much, like how every sector is represented. And it has a lot to do with like food insecurity, food access, of course, how it's grown, how it gets distributed. Addresses everything about food. This goes into a good explanation of it. I guess my question would be like how would the Ag Board be supportive of a food policy council?
I think that the way that the council is looking at it is a partnership with the community. type thing where they work together with the different entities and stakeholders in the community to support and establish food policies. That's what I think.
Would we be getting those organizations together and finding who?
Sure, that's what I think. I don't know, I can't speak for the council, but that's what my understanding is. That they would get those.
But it would be, if the council goes for the grant, it would be up to us to assign that.
I don't know what, that part of it would be up to the council, we'd have to find out, but that's the way I look at it. They're looking at us to support them however we can.
Because the biggest thing with the Food Policy Council is making sure like all
Right.
spectrum of a food system is represented. So if the council is counting on the ag board to be supportive, to find the people that represent that spectrum, we should have a plan
Right.
for.
I think what I'm thinking, Adam, you might can help me out here, is that the first thing we have to do is wait to see if the grant's awarded first. And they're supposed to meet, I think, and talk about, Ms. Brock and the attorney and the grant writer are meeting and gonna discuss the specifics of it. So it's hard for me to answer the specifics of it, and I'm sure they'll ask us what they need to know.
So if I may, to that end, if I can jump in here, the county, because it's a pass-through grant, so the county's gonna apply for it, so the ag board itself couldn't apply for the grant, since once again, we're just subservient to the council position. I would think it is, and I will meet tomorrow we have the perfect name for an ag attorney, or attorney, is Mr. Root. Come on, alright. So tomorrow, I'll meet with him and the county administrator, we'll see where we're going with this. I would like to have, if possible, if you all want to, I should say, have one or two of you all kind of on call, so I could pick up the phone. Once again, I don't think writing a grant with 7 people is, maybe it'll work, but having one or two of you definitely to say, okay, well, and the grant's due, I think, the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. That's why, the 10th? Yeah, it's due the 10th, so that's why, we kind of, this didn't come before the ag board prior to this moment, just because of a timeliness issue. So, to me, if you all would like, one or two, assign 2 of you, kind of motion vote, 1 or 2 of y'all I can give you a call tomorrow or the next day or the 10th to say, hey, this is what we're writing, can you come do whatever else we need with this grant? That would be helpful.
Would the writing of the grant include like how the money is allocated, like what staff is paid? Like who would get paid for?
I would have to look further in, I can't anymore, maybe that's part of it, certainly, that could certainly be part of it, I'm not 100% certain.
Okay. I guess my question is who, because the grant is paying for staff to develop the food policy council, who would get paid?
I think that would be a decision that Ms. Brock would have to make.
So as far as the grant itself, let's just kind of take a bite of this elephant here, is that I can be the grants administrator and write it and just show it to you after the fact, or 1 or 2 of you can be involved with the process as it's going along, because there might be questions in there that I'm gonna have to Google. So if somebody wants to be involved with that with me, I do welcome that.
I'd like to be involved.
I was gonna say, I think if, Amanda, I almost speak out of turn, I didn't even recognize me. The food policy summit that took place, you guys got a group together that was working on food policy, correct?
Yes, we had different breakout sessions. One of them was developing a food policy council. And then everyone that attended the summit voted on what would be worked on, prioritized for the county. And developing a food policy council was one of those things.
So, not to reinvent the wheel, but so that when Adam then goes to write the grant, I think that's going to be critical to put in there that right before COVID, 2020, this was the action plan from a food summit that Oconee County has A, B, and C in place, which I don't know, maybe Anderson, Pickens, somebody, nobody else has that in place, but Oconee County has A, B, and C in place in that synopsis of the first thing in the grant to kind of, whoever's awarding the grant reads it and says, oh, well, we might need to move them further up the chain to get the grant because they're already in the process of forming a food policy council, because if I read that, it's $11,000, and that could be what it takes to get that off the board. And I think they pretty much had, I know District 2 had Louder Branch, I think, involved in some of that, maybe.
And the food policy
Mhm.
council?
Were they involved in that, or was it marketing? Maybe at marketing.
Yeah, they were on the panel.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, those information, I think, is that what you need, Adam, with the grant writer? Is what I'm thinking.
I'm not 100% sure what the application is asking me for. I mean, I'm not, we're not trying to jump through that right now.
But so we give you the right people, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, so, I
That's
mean,
why I'm asking.
Whoever, well, one, is someone who's gonna be available tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, I can call, not necessarily come in. That's key, so if you're not available, I appreciate it, but, and the second would be, yeah, some knowledge of food policy council would be awesome.
Okay. I think what he's asking right now, and I understand your concerns, but, the council would like for us, somebody from our group that's knowledgeable about food policy councils, to be on call tomorrow at least, so that when they discuss it, if they have any questions to ask, that they can ask us. So, I'm available tomorrow, by the way, and, I'm not an expert on food policy councils, but I have a good idea of what, we're looking for. So, just so you know, if anybody else, Ashley, are you available tomorrow?
I'm available tomorrow, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
So if I may, just so we make clean, so, once again, this is kinda like certain things that the Ag Board will do, will kinda go out and come back and you all get to put eyes on it, get to put hands on it. Sometimes stuff leaves here and that's the last time we see it, we just kinda put our faith in and say, yeah, I trust you to do that, so, like the letters, like the Ag Board letters, we said, Rex, you're doing it, that's fine. But there was a motion of a kind of an official recognition of, hey, they are representing the Ag Board. So, at this point, if you, Mr. Johnson, if you all are the ones who wanna do this, if I can give you all a call tomorrow, let's do the motion about kind of formal process of it, that way.
Well, that's what I was just trying to see if who was there, who was available. So does
So you
anybody
want
want?
1, 2, 3, what do you want?
Oh, I mean,
What do you want, how many people?
I don't think we need more than 2, I don't. Unless anybody else has any insight. She'll be available tomorrow.
It's news to me, so I'll be no.
Anybody else available tomorrow?
I mean, I'm available, but I think, Tessa, have you had any involvement with food policy, being that you were in Maui?
I was involved with the establishment of our farmers market, but I think that Ashley has a pretty good handle on having done the food summit and having been involved with all those breakout groups and all of that, so I would defer to her judgment on that.
So
I nominate Ashley and Debbie to represent us on this, in reference to the council and the food policy council points of contact. So I nominate Ashley and Debbie to be available tomorrow for a phone call or whatever the council needs.
And
I'll
also,
Okay. All agree, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, does anybody want to, should we go any further discussion about this, or is everybody?
I do have a question, and a comment. I know that was high on the list, the Food Policy Council. Did we identify, or did y'all identify potential committee members for that? Or was that gonna happen at the meeting that?
Right. Yeah, there was like maybe 1 or 2 virtual meetings, of people that were on in that breakout session that signed up to be on that committee. That wasn't my breakout, that wasn't my committee, so I'm not sure exactly how that went on or who was really involved. Because of the tornado right after that, that didn't pick back up.
Is there a way to carry on with those that signed up and contact those and pursue that and carry on with them? Since you already had some people identified, willing to form the committee, they're.
Yeah, the interest is out there, it's on the board. I'm sure we could find the email addresses and reach out to people, letting them know that we're actually starting it.
I think whether we get the grant or not, it's so popular and so needed that we ought to pursue it anyway. And set it up. And maybe if we'd not had so many disturbances, we could have had it set up and been ready to go when this thing
Sounds
first
like a
came
plan.
out. But that's okay.
Yeah.
But we have the
Yeah,
names
the
there. Let's
moment-
just add on to those and grab those people and bring them in and have the nucleus there.
I think, what I'm thinking is if the county, like I said, the county hasn't been awarded the grant yet, no matter what, food policy is gonna be the top of our agendas. Maybe not every month, but it's gonna be an ongoing theme, so if, and when a food policy council is formed in Oconee County, then we'll definitely be, probably asked to, contribute to the food policy and to advise council on that as well.
If I could. say
Sure.
something. I really appreciated the parameters of this grant. And so even regardless of whether this grant gets awarded, I think it's a really good reference point for how the Food Policy Council should move forward, just with proper representation and I really liked the communal meal that is actually part of the stipulations of use with the grant funds. And I think one of the great things about the grant is that this is a lot of work, and having someone who can be paid to do this work would be very valuable.
And I guess that's my question is so council is the one that applies for the grant,
No, the county.
the county, okay. So who would decide the roles of,
I would think Ms. Brock or,
Like, so we get into the details of the grant itself. I didn't go into the application process and we didn't push through it because first we needed to get council's blessing to apply for funds. We got that and then we did get to this point and I still really haven't had a meeting about this. So that's certainly things we can work out tomorrow.
okay, everybody satisfied?
I see where you're going, but I think it's fine. I think I see where you're going. Yeah, it just dawned on me why you asked that question.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and I apologize, I was coming from a different point of we are this far ahead and this far down. We have this much documentation to go with that grant is where I was coming from, but I see where you're coming from. But you're correct also, Tessa, that it's great parameters and guidelines, and I think they were following those. So.
Okay, if that's all I guess that's all we can say about that for right now anyway. So, there was two things on here and, that I wanted to mention. I put this on here and this is something, and, Charlie, you're on the farm board, aren't you? Or the farm, I can't do that. But, these are two things that I saw that I thought would be, of interest to county that's going through our legislature in the state right now. And, the House Bill 3766 is, they're planning on abolishing DHEC as it is and separating it into two separate entities. The one that's more health oriented and the other is more environmental oriented. I think this has, my personal opinion is this needed to happen a long time ago. So it'd be the Department of Public Health and the Department of Environmental Control. Now, agriculture will still have to deal with both of them.
Yep.
Because one has to do with food safety and that kind of thing. And the other has to do more with environmental stuff you'll probably have to deal with environmental stuff with your chicken houses and, other people that have animal facilities, that kind of thing. And I know builders will be dealing with them on wells and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, if anybody had, and you may know more about it than I do, and how it's moving along, as I can tell, through legislature. Do you know any more detail?
I think the question is gonna cause more chaos,
I think it's going to be
having
better.
two different entities, because you're gonna have to wait on one to make this decision. Like you mentioned, like with a poultry operation, you're going to have to deal with both of them. So you're gonna have to get okay from this, at this one before you get okay from this one, or vice versa. Not sure how it would really work.
I don't know either. I don't know why, it strikes me as being a good idea. I know in other states it works better. When I was in sales, I had to deal with DHEC-like agencies, and the ones that had it where I wasn't in one big conglomeration, it was a lot easier to get things taken care of. So I don't know. I don't know. It's yet to be seen.
I think the actual inspection of the farm and the animals' conditions should be more of an environmental thing, and then the processing and the side of where the food is, comes into play, would be more of a public health.
Right.
And having the division there, and then not having the public health have to come to the farm, but just the environmental sector,
It seems like to me, I think they're on the
would
right.
be a good division. But if they're having both, departments having to come out to the farm, that would cause a lot of.
It'd be chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe when they write the law, we need a clear divide.
So I think we should keep an eye on this, and when we have
Not
some
meeting.
questions like that we should bring it up to our, we can go through the council, and they can bring it up to our legislature.
Well, and again, I guess that my question is is them splitting it to Department of Public Health based upon what happened in 2020 with the corona? Or is it something else?
My understanding is, you might know more about this too, as this has been coming on for a while. And this just made it more of it brought it to everybody's attention how cumbersome it was to have a public health crisis on top of everything else they do.
And still have to go check out poultry houses.
Still have-
and still
yeah.
have to go check out septic tanks. and Still
Right,
have to go
so,
follow.
yeah, I think that was, so I think it's been coming along, but this shined a light on issues, I think, so,
I hope it's well funded, whichever it is.
yeah. Is that the way that you took
Yeah, I
it,
think
Charlie? I
so.
think that's,
It would work, and I think it's needed. Me personally, I do think it's needed, because the less government we can do and put on, and regulation and stuff like that. But to make it mainstream for one entity to be this, you don't deal with the whole thing, you just deal with the
No.
environmental part, or the other part would be great.
And even maybe modifying, hopefully, to different size of farms. Certain regulations for industrial production would not be the same, shouldn't be the same for smaller farms that don't have the same environmental stress on the animals.
I think they would be able to pinpoint things better if it was not all in this big conglomerate myself.
I did try to find more on these two bills, and I was having a hard time finding them.
Really? Well, the second one, I had accidentally, we had a typo in the
Okay, that
agenda.
might
It's
have been-
506, actually.
Oh, that's,
That makes more sense, so unless anybody has any more insight into the DHEC.
I
Separation.
downloaded DHEC, it's 93 pages.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna,
The
Bring it.
3766.
yeah, it's, it kinda outlines exactly what they're planning on doing. I mean, what they're starting out with and how they're gonna divide it, which is, it's really interesting to me how they look at it. As you know, like I said before, I worked in regulatory, and I can see the benefit to it, so. The other one, is more, I'm thinking about it more for, aspect of farmers markets and that kind of thing. Bill 506 is expanding the products that, home-based, cooks can do and sell. They're gonna remove, the plan is to remove the, not for resale, when you label stuff that you make in your home kitchen, there's still, there still, are rules that you have to follow. But, it helps with, selling, at farmers markets, online, to grocery stores and that kind of thing, people who do, home-based products, which I think, that legislation has needed to be, updated and, clarified. It's really difficult, particularly if you work at a farmer's market, to get an answer, and people say, can I bring so-and-so that I make at my house? And you're like, well, if you ask this person, they'll tell you one thing, and this person will tell you something else, but I think this bill kind of clarifies a lot of it.
And you said that one's ongoing?
It's, all of them are, none of them have passed.
Okay.
They're all going through their things. This one's gone to the Ag Committee and to, I think, the Health Committee as well, to, make sure it's written in such a way where home cooks won't poison people, I imagine. So, but it's 506.
So, the question, is that different from, like, I sell freezer beef, where, any beef I get, it's labeled not for resale. So is that two different things?
It's two different things. This is for preparation.
Preparation.
It's like, people that do,
Canning and.
yeah, well, actually, candies and baked goods kind of in a separate thing, but, which they should all be together, but it's other, home-prepared items that are, they call them non-hazardous. They have certain pHs. There's a whole chart of them. I don't want to go through all of them here, but they'll still have those regulations, but the labeling will have to be, now if you do that, you put your name and address, and the not for resale, so that when you sell it to somebody, they can't go and, repack, sell it to somebody else. I don't know that will still be in there, but now, also, there's another thing is, you might not necessarily put your address. Another part of it is the labeling. You can get a number from the Department of Agriculture if you don't want to put your address on there. So it will track back to you if there was some issue. So there's several different things in it. It's going through legislature, but I think that it's going to help us out with the farm, especially at our farmers markets.
Yeah.
We continuously have questions there. Okay. I think that's all we have on the agenda tonight, unless anybody had anything that they didn't get to add. Adam, do you have any parting words?
I will, prior to our, March 3rd meeting, with the workshop, I will send you out any materials. If you all would like anything else included, just ask me and I'll send it out to the group. Also, just as a matter of housekeeping here, if I can send out a group email to all y'all can't reply all. So that's all I ask. In an email format, just don't hit reply all. Just email individually, because emails can count as a meeting. So, that's just, don't hit reply all.
I got a couple of items of information. There's a food summit coming up in February at Clemson. It's sponsored by Sunoco Fresh group. Sunoco Packaging is a huge group down at Clemson. So it's an online thing. It's featuring Governor Beasley, who was won the Nobel Prize for feeding people. And he's going to be one of the speakers. It's a 2-day summit, February 24th through 26th. Well, that's more than 2 days, but anyway, you can sign up and view it online at SunocoFreshSummit.com. And I can send that to Adam if y'all would like to see it. It's SunocoFreshSummit.com. And also, similarly, Carrie's been sending out a lot of good information. So, a lot of things the extension's doing, even though they're having to be careful about meeting. She says they're still doing on-farm visits and a lot of workshops and virtual. I took the food safety handling workshop virtually a couple months ago, so there's still things we can do and learn about, so. be on the lookout for Carrie's info. And I think Adam's passed that along to us.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anybody say aye?
Aye.